Hello everyone. In this video, we're picking out and sharing the latest topics about Asia. From one of the most famous Reddit-style forums in Japan. Even if you don't understand Japanese, we've translated everything into English subtitles and audio. So you can join the conversation as if you were in Japan. So, let's dive into the discussions happening in Japan. Lately, at entrance exam venues for Japan's top private middle schools, you see more and more Chinese parents with their kids. At some elite schools, they make up about 10% of new students. Even Japan's private middle and high schools are feeling the wave of globalization. One Chinese parent said they chose Japan's entrance exam system because they're worried about their child's future and want them in a good environment from middle school. In China, academics come first, but they said, since Japan has fewer kids, the competition isn't as fierce as it is for Chinese college entrance exams.
I really noticed this. No matter which school I went to this January, there were groups loudly speaking Chinese. Are they exploiting Japan's declining birth rate to take over the education system? Private schools are desperate to fill seats because of the low birth rate. Even with a degree from the University of Tokyo, you can't get into top Chinese companies. They think the academic level isn't high enough. That says it all. But if they're not good enough to succeed in China, what's the point of coming to Japan? To get jobs in Japan. For all that elite education. Why are Japan's leaders so clueless about economics? For Chinese kids, getting into Japanese universities is super easy. Japan's academic level is really low. It's all about being strategic. They'll smartly and efficiently take over land and academic opportunities. Politicians, distracted by the tourism boom, need to wake up. If they're taking the exams fair and square and Japanese students are losing, then it's foolish to complain. They're even taking prestigious school entrance exams in a language that's not their native tongue. That's something to be impressed by. If you're that smart, guess there's no helping it. Let's compete with the Japanese. Considering the demographics, it's not surprising if Chinese students fill up the slots. I went to an integrated middle and high school, and there were always Chinese kids around. Before we know it, Japanese students might disappear, with Chinese students taking over. Japan is really generous, providing support, study opportunities, and chances to study abroad, even though Japan doesn't get much in return. Look at America. That's what an immigrant nation is like. Usually, they become pro-Japanese, though. There was an incident where an elderly couple hosting a Chinese exchange student got murdered by that student. You could say Japan's working-class men are supporting Chinese kids. Are they members of the Chinese Communist Party or what? Japan's getting freeloaded on big time. Are there even Japanese students smart enough to get into Peking University or Tsinghua University? If you're Japanese, you'd probably go to America instead. Kids from the mainland are seriously talented, strong, mature even. If so many are coming to Japan, their home country must not be that great. Maybe someday a new Sun Yat senator will emerge to overthrow the Shi dynasty. Speaking of which, there was a plan for a famous junior high school to go on a school trip to Taiwan, but it got cancelled because there was a Chinese student in the class. At the time, Chinese citizens couldn't travel to Taiwan. In 30 years, people with Chinese roots will dominate the core of politics, administration, and judiciary. Will Japan end up like Malaysia? There are countries where the native population hardly works, and it's the efforts and money of the Chinese diaspora that keep things running. Well, the population difference is overwhelming. It's the power of numbers. There are plenty of fools, but also many talented people. It's one thing if they're going to the University of Tokyo. But if Chinese students start enrolling in regional national medical schools, it'll be tough for local communities. Chinese students wouldn't care about Japan's regional healthcare. Chinese people are smart, but their country is a mess. If a country that big turned democratic, it'd fall apart into chaos in no time. There are just too many people, more than Japanese people can imagine. You have to push others down to survive. If you can't become a Communist Party member, life's hell. In all of history, China has never occupied or ruled the Japanese archipelago. That's why expectations for these young people are pretty high. With declining birth rates and fewer marriages, the Japanese will go extinct. This time, Japan will be overtaken by foreigners, with no chance of recovery. The Japanese survived the Mongol invasions and atomic bombs, but now they'll vanish.
Did you find this video interesting? We'll keep bringing you fun topics from Japan's online community. Please subscribe to the channel and drop some comments.